The week's end top stories at NBR: sustained record levels of M&A activity. Sir Peter Jackson wins claims over vintage aircraft fraud. ComCom looks closely at fate of GULL, and there's more coming right up. Kia ora and welcome to NBR This Week. We start with a wrap of the end of the week's top business stories from the authority in New Zealand business news since 1970, nbr.co.nz. Then we'll take a look back at the top NBR Today stories from the past week. I'm Paul Brennan. Thanks so much for joining us. New Zealand's increasing reputation for building strong technology companies is helping sustain record levels of M&A activity, PwC says. The firm today, Friday, released its second M&A quarterly update, tracking the major trends in deal activity from July to September this year, as well as comparing back to 2019. Joining the NBR's Hamish McNicol was PwC corporate finance leader Regan Holt.
Such a vibrant industry at the moment, and it's throughout the whole country. And starting with just a great set of founders and entrepreneurs who are breaking the molds. And it's right across the country, from Tauranga with the business Lawview that's doing great things, raised capital. Two examples down in Dunedin, we saw this year Timely, that created fairly unique software for salons, sold to international party. And then a business that I'm familiar with, Education Perfect, that was founded and grew out of Dunedin.
PwC corporate finance leader Regan Holt with Hamish McNicol there. Sales across Ryman's portfolio rose 48% on strong demand in the first half despite lockdowns, while property revaluations boosted profits. In a set of unaudited accounts released Friday morning, the NZX-listed aged care provider reported an underlying first half profit of $95.9 million in the 6 months to September 30, while reported profit increased 32.5% to $281.5 million on the back of property revaluations. Accordingly, total assets increased 18.1% to $9.85 billion on balance date. Revenue from continuing operations increased 11.6% to $247.9 million. Ryman's new chief executive, Richard Umbers, said the Delta strain of COVID-19 had resulted in lengthy lockdowns in Ryman's key markets of Melbourne and Auckland during the first half, but its villages remained in strong demand. The Commerce Commission says it will be looking closely at the proposed sale of fuel retailer GULL as part of AMPOLIZ Z Energy takeover, particularly if it occurs through an initial public offer. NZX-listed Z Energy's board in October endorsed a takeover from ASX-listed Ampol through a scheme of arrangement at $3.78 a share, subject to approval from the competition regulator. Although Ampol has said it will divest its existing New Zealand business GULL, in a statement of preliminary issues published this morning, Friday, the Commission indicated the GULL sale would be a key element in its clearance decision. A Kiwi company started by two friends, a nurse and a journalist who wanted better period products for their daughters, has raised $2.4 million in an oversubscribed seed round and is now racing against competitors to establish itself as a world leader in sustainable period care. The Hello Cup, soon to be renamed Hello Period, hoped to raise between 1.5 and 2.3 million, but closed the round, run through crowdfunding platform Snowball Effect, at just under 2.47 million. The post-round valuation is 8.4 million. Joining the NBR's Nicola Shepherd was Hello Cup co-founder Mary Bond.
So we've got an amazing disc design, and we've got a patent pending on that, which is really exciting. And we designed it in collaboration with an American sustainable period guru called Kim Rosas. And she runs an amazing company called Period Nirvana. And so we worked with her really to create a product that's unlike anything else on the market.
Hello Cup co-founder Mary Bond with Nicola Shepherd. An American pilot and vintage aircraft expert, Eugene DeMarco, has been ordered to pay his former employer, Sir Peter Jackson, more than $2.6 million in damages after being jailed for fraud in December 2019. In a just-released decision, Justice Christine Grice found in favour of the Vintage Aviator, TVA, owned by a trust in which Jackson, his wife Dame Fran Walsh, and their colleague Philippa Boyens were trustees. TVA had sued DeMarco, 59, who was sentenced to a jail term in December 2019, and his company Old Stick and Rudder. DeMarco had been declared bankrupt and his company is in liquidation. He was employed as production manager of the company to restore and manufacture reproductions of World War I aircraft. Those are our top stories as we head into the weekend, the full versions of which, along with all our breaking business news, columns and opinion, are at nbr.co.nz right now. This is NBR This Week, a brief look back now at the week's top stories from our daily video business news bulletin, NBR Today. On Monday, Good Spirits to buy Nourish. NZX-listed Good Spirits Hospitality has agreed to buy hospitality provider Nourish Group and 10 of its venues for $21.3 million plus earnouts. Good Spirits will take ownership of Soul Bar and Bistro, Tallulah, The Chamberlain, The Brit, Andiamo, Shed 5, The Crab Shack Wellington, Pravda Cafe and Grill, and the Auckland and Queenstown Jervois Steakhouse venues. Its roster of venues will increase from 10 currently to 20. It's NBR This Week, the week's top stories from our daily video business news bulletin, NBR Today. From Tuesday's social media post prompts TATUA resignation. TATUA Cooperative Dairy Company Director Ross Townsend has quit over highly inappropriate social media posting on Facebook about Foreign Affairs and Local Government Minister Nanaia Mahuta. Townsend's departure was confirmed in a statement from TATUA Chair Stephen Allen. On Monday evening, it was brought to my attention that Mr Townsend had posted highly inappropriate messaging on social media in relation to a Minister of Parliament, he said. Mr Townsend's personal views and the way he chose to express them are incompatible with TATUA's culture and values, and there was no other course of action than to accept his resignation on behalf of the TATUA Board of Directors. Allen said he would be contacting the Minister's office to explain and apologise. This is NBR This Week, the past week's top 5 business stories from NBR Today. From Wednesday, new investment bank off to a flying start. Tiaki director Kenneth Leong only announced its launch this month, but already is working on 10 active deals and has a pipeline of more than 20 further transactions waiting in the wings. It's identified a gap in the advisory market for private business transactions worth between 10 and 100 million, which it believes is too small for the top end of investment banks and the big 4 accounting firms, but too large to be properly served by business brokers. Tiaki has been operating in its current form for about 2 months, but in reality it's a familiar enterprise for Leong and fellow director Pauris Rege. This is NBR This Week, a brief look back at the week's top stories from our daily business video news bulletin, NBR Today. From Thursday, a river runs through Lakewood. Residents have been forced to evacuate the 17-storey Lakewood Plaza apartment tower in Manukau City, South Auckland, after a burst water main pipe caused extensive damage to the 1-year-old property. The prominent 151-unit complex next to the Southern Motorway is a joint venture between South Auckland Property Development Group Duval and Hamilton-based construction group Downey. Fire and Emergency New Zealand confirmed they were called to the building on Sunday after an alarm was activated. A resident told NBR that at around 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, about a tonne of water flooded down onto each floor and then just pretty much found gravity and has gone down the fire escapes to each floor. The resident was at work at the time and came home to the chaos. This is NBR This Week. Now we're up to Friday's top story. My Food Bag has confirmed it will pay a dividend after a record half year for the business, even as revenue, delivery numbers and average order value dipped. The company in March became the country's largest NZX listing since 2014, when it listed at $1.85 a share, valuing it at $449 million. Today, Friday, it announced its half-year results for the 6 months to September 30, which it billed as showing record earnings of net profit after tax of $9.4 million, up 25% on last year. The company declared an interim dividend of 3 cents a share, payable on December 16, and forecast a final dividend of 4 cents a share. My Food Bag chair, Tony Carter, said the results demonstrated clear progress and the achievement of some important milestones. That's our review of the week's top 5 NBR Today stories. You can find the full versions of those stories and more with all our daily breaking business news, columns and opinion at nbr.co.nz right now. Saturday at NBR, In Fact or Fiction, Brent Edwards and Grant Walker debate COVID-19, of course, and the latest political polls, while in Carry On, Neville Gibson discusses Planemakers Books reopening at the Dubai Air Show. I'm Paul Brennan. Thanks for watching NBR This Week. Have a great weekend. I look forward to being with you again from Monday for NBR Today.